Chicago? What do you say? Cubs gonna win today.
Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise Podcast. We're going to talk about the Cubs with Oleg and Praz. I have a question for each of you. So we'll start with Praz. Cade Horton made his debut, and he is wearing number 22. Who is your favorite Cubs 22 before Cade Horton?
I mean, I think, there's an obvious answer for pitchers wearing that number. You know what? I'm going to go with one that gave me some false hope going into the 2011 season, thinking they'd still be good. I'll go with Carlos Pena.
Okay.
Because I actually
we've already asked that question on the podcast. We talked about that because when I went to Arizona and I saw the
that's right, the 22.
Yeah,
well, you're getting a different question.
All right, Gary Clark Jr. came out with
that's right.
With a number
Moises Ballesteros is number 25.
Yes. Okay.
So who before Moises? Who is your favorite 25?
No idea. Cubs number 25.
Yeah, okay, there's a very obvious one here, Oleg.
There is, and I just don't know it. Is it David Ross?
He's going into the utility tunnel of fame later this year.
He is. Wait, who's going in? Arenas, was he 25?
No,
he's already
16.
in. He was 16.
Oh, yeah.
A different square number. That would be Derek Lee. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Derek Lee. Now, you could have also said Tuffy Rhodes, but you're both wrong. I hate to tell you. The answer, it's the same guy. Pete Lecoq wore 25 and 22 for the Cubs. So one-stop shopping for Pete Lecoq.
Now I got to look up who else wore 25.
You think if the Cubs had their names on their jerseys back then, we would see as many Lecoq shirts as we see Fukudome still?
That would be
like
fantastic.
Who wouldn't have bought those? I mean, that was a huge marketing error.
Why don't they start putting names on their jerseys? Because Pete Lecoq was in the late 70s, right?
I think it was early 90s when they started on the home. I think on the road they were.
No, the road had them. The 84 Cubs had their names on the road.
Yeah.
I'm going to say like 82, maybe.
Okay.
And then there was the 1 year 05, right?
And I think 06 too.
That they took them off the home.
Yeah, which was weird.
And then they put them back on. Yeah.
Frank Thomas wore number 25 for the Cubs.
He did.
Willie Smith wore number 25.
Tuffy Rhodes. Or
Willie Smith was the answer to the who got the game-winning hit in the 69 opener.
Yeah.
Isn't that Willie Smith? Is that right? Did I get that right?
You're not going to go with the guy who drove in the last run of the 03 NLCS, Troy O'Leary?
Yeah, Troy O'Leary. Good old
Troy O'Leary. I'm literally looking at his name. That's hilarious.
Orlando Merced also wore 25, and he hit one of the biggest pinch homers in Cub history when he hit the 3-run shot for the 98 Cubs against the Brewers.
There you go.
Moises Ballesteros isn't even the only Cub to wear 25 this year.
No, I'm surprised they didn't hold it for the great Gage Workman just in case he somehow works his way back.
Hey,
he just
could have him back now.
Yeah. He just got DFA.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like at some point, he's going to get cut again, and then he's going to have to go through waivers again. The Cubs could just get him.
That's what I mean. He did. He just got cut. He's on waivers now. He just got cut.
He did. The Sox gave up on him again. Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
I
think it was like 2 days ago.
Poor Gage, because he hit a ball out of the infield. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he did against Miguel Rojas. So when he batted against the second baseman, very good against any pitcher. Things didn't work out so good for. So I'm going to ask you guys a question about with our beloved Ian Happ out. The Cubs insist on batting Pete Crow Armstrong leadoff, and clearly it's not working.
It's not.
Nope, not at all.
Tonight he's been limited to a single and a home run in 2 at-bats. But really, it doesn't make much sense. He has a 302 on base average. Somebody else should probably be doing that.
Oh, he just hit one. Oh,
but yeah, he's doing fine there tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's, I think it's the old. I got no one else to put there, so might as well put
That's exactly what it is. It's I don't want to disrupt the whole. Well, see, the problem is like the speedy guys they have, other than him, you don't want getting extra at bats. I guess the only thing they could do maybe is like Birdie. Do you really want him getting an extra at bats?
Maybe Nico, because he does have experience in that.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's a good point. You could just move Nico up there.
But Nico never walks. I mean, he makes contact, but
well, Pete never walks either. So
yeah, Pete never walks either.
I guess it just shows that Ian Happ is unreplaceable, and it's probably time for a contract extension.
Exactly.
Can't wait.
Maybe that's what they'll do while he's on the IL. I have plenty of time to negotiate and attack another 3 years onto this deal.
An even more stringent no trade clause on this one.
Yeah. If we even think about trading you, we owe you $1 million. Okay.
Do you think that if they give Ian Happ a contract extension, then he'll refuse to also play first base?
Yep. I got a longer contract than you, Jed. You can't make me do it.
The funniest thing is when I read that that John Henry, is that who owns the Red Sox still? That he sat down with Devers to have a talk with him, and Devers must have been like, I don't care what you have to say.
Yep.
Basically,
he's got an 11-year contract, pays him $35 million a year. He has a full no trade.
Yeah.
He's like, tough shit. You figure it out. It's exactly what he said when the reporters came to him and said, you know, were you going to move to first? He's like, no, I think Craig Breslow should do his job and go find a first baseman. That's exactly what he said. Like, you should, why do I have to change my job? Why does he just do his? And he's not really all that wrong.
No, he's not.
There's something. I mean, to be fair to Craig Breslow, like they did have a first baseman until he got hurt. Like,
yes, right.
He did have a first baseman.
Yep.
Yeah. Like it wasn't that big a deal. Like I don't know. Maybe they'll put Yoshida. Is that his last name? It is
weird though. It just seems odd that they don't have anybody to play there. Like
they got. I think
they're playing Abraham, Toro, and somebody. It's like, what? You don't have anybody in the system that you can have play first base?
There's apparently another Sogard. Right? Nick Sogard.
Oh, Nick Sogard.
Yeah.
Well, they could probably get Eric to do it. As long as he doesn't have to get vaccinated now, so he'd be fine.
Do you, I think you may have found a landing spot for Gage Workman.
Yeah, well, now he's back on waivers again. Just looking at his spray chart, it's still the 3 lonely hits he had with the Cubs. The double off the wall in right center in Dodger Stadium off of second baseman Miguel Rojas. The loopy single over the first baseman's head off of Miguel Rojas. And an infield hit that I don't remember who. I can watch the video here. It's so easy when you only have 3. All right, there it is.
Right.
Oh yeah, this is. Oh, that should have been an error on Xander Bogaerts. That's what that should have been. Bogaerts fielded it. He fielded it and just made like a 6-hop throw, and Gage beat it out.
Jeez. Are you on MLB? Is that MLB.com? Does it do that? Like it gives you
no. If you go to Baseball Savant, you can literally click on any of the spray chart dots, and it'll show you the hit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, out. Is it? Can you really?
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's awesome. I love, like, I'm there all the time. A buddy of mine asked me today about a fantasy baseball thing. He's like, should I pick up Dylan Cease, Robbie Ray, or Jose Quintana? Like, I think you got that order right. And then, like, gave him all this info from Baseball Savant. It was pretty fun.
Yep.
I got to check this out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. If you're Justin Turner, you don't want to look at it.
No, a lot of blue on Justin Turner.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
That is super cool. I didn't know you could do that. Holy cow.
The Cubs did call up Moises Ballesteros. He's, as we're recording this, he's designated hitting for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Craig Counsell apparently in the pregame was very optimistic that Ian Happ will only miss
10
the
days.
minimum amount of time required. Which has there ever been a player the Cubs have put on the injured list that they haven't said that about?
Right. I'm pretty sure Ryan Brazier is still on the 15-day IL right now. So
Yeah.
you know,
Minimum
he's
amount
missed
of
a lot
time.
more than 15.
Well, they just moved Tyson Miller to make 40-man space for.
Oh, they moved
He
him
went
to
on
a
the
60.
He went on the 60-day. But he's been. Those guys have been on the injured list long enough that even if they're close now, it's just a procedural. Like it really is not going to change when they're going to come back.
But the thing is that he's going to miss the minimum 60 days.
Yes. Well, obviously they factored that in because who was it? Oh, Eli Morgan went for Cade Horton.
Yes.
With his impingement.
Yeah.
Is that why he was only throwing 65 miles an hour? Because he was impinged?
How good those guys kind of just stay on the IL and collect a paycheck for a while? Do they have insurance? Like, do they have a short-term disability?
I don't think Ricketts is paying for that.
He's like, you guys are on your own.
Yeah, right.
Right.
They just hand out a pamphlet. It's a good company. You could buy this from them. What? Wait a minute. Don't you supply our insurance? Not anymore. We don't.
Yeah,
well,
good luck with that.
Brought up Moises Ballesteros and his. I mean, you know, in the minors, he had played catcher. He had now kind of transitioned over to the first base more so.
Right.
In Iowa, he's DH tonight. I actually prepared a little something for you guys. That he is 5'9". When was the last time the Cubs had a first baseman start a game that was under 6 foot?
Is it Matt Stairs?
You got it right. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Did have a couple right at 6 feet in recent years too. We had
Alfonso
Candelario when the Cubs traded for him in 2023, and then I believe Efren Navarro, the of
he was
the
mostly an
comeback against the Braves fame. Yeah,
good old number 70, maybe.
Yeah.
How tall was Alfonso Rivas? He wasn't very tall.
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually didn't look up Rivas. You know what?
He's not 5'9".
Oh no, 5'11". Wow.
5'11".
Okay, so okay. Well, Ballesteros is the shortest since Matt Stairs, though.
But he's wide.
This is true. He does cover a lot of surface area.
Just keep it low. You'll be fine.
Yeah. All of those guys are wide. Matt Stairs wasn't svelte.
No, he was not. Yeah, Stairs. That was he was the immediate replacement for Mark Grace.
Yeah,
it didn't
actually pretty good. No one for them.
Yeah, nothing against Matt Stairs.
No,
what I remember.
Who's the Phillies? Who do you hit the big home run for? Or is that the Dodgers?
Yeah, when against the Dodgers in 08.
Yeah.
When they made the use stairs in case of emergency saying for him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but who was saying that tonight before the game there was secret footage of Michael Busch taking ground balls at third base?
Yeah, Praz.
Yeah, some of that surfaced on Twitter, and I'm wondering, you know, Cubs have had a hole for all this season at third base. If that's what their plan is, not the biggest fan of it, but it might mean that Moises Ballesteros is here to stay, so would be a fan of that. But
that would really, I mean, Busch is a good first baseman. We've been pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
Like he adjusted that really quickly. He's done a nice job. I can't imagine Moises is any good at first. I picture like a more fun version of Frank Schwindel playing defense.
But why does that have to be the alignment? Why can't, like, I know that I was kidding about it, but why can't they ask, like, Ian Happ to move to first base? Is it the gold gloves out there? They can't put Suzuki in left field?
Oh, you're saying Happ to first, Busch to third, and Sega to left, and so you can't move the Gold Glover.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that what's stopping them?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really hate I don't like to Praz's point. I don't love Busch at third base, but if there's a defensive team, like they play good defense, if they could withstand something like that for at least a little while, why not?
Yeah.
God, I wish they would have signed Bregman.
Would you do? Who was it? It was the Blue Jays. Didn't they? And this was I remember this, but they were talking about this on the round table a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I know where you're
where
going
they
with
were they were hiding a guy. Who was it? And they kept.
I want to say it was
whether
the
if the
Mets.
batter.
It was the Mets, and it was Travis d'Arnaud, I think, who they kept shifting back and forth positions.
Yeah, so
second base
basically,
and
whatever
third
it
base,
was,
back and forth.
they were hiding a guy. Let's say it was D'Arnaud, because it very well could have been. And so when there was a right-handed batter, they had him play first. When there was a left-handed, him and the first baseman would switch, so that they would put the least good fielder on take him away from the pull side on every batter. So the Cubs could just do that with Moises and Busch.
And Busch.
Just flip them every batter.
Yep.
What would that do to the pitch clock? Is that a way to?
Oh yeah, Moises.
There you go.
Exhausted.
That's a what did Theo always used to call them? Like I don't know, manipulations, or I don't know.
When he would
market inequalities or something like that. Yeah.
Well, that was at some point. Then they got so pissed off about Rizzo changing gloves that they refused to let him do that.
Well, apparently there's a rule that only the first baseman can wear that glove.
Right.
And so when they had him come weigh in on they determined he was no longer playing first base, so he had to wear a regular fielder's glove.
Oh, okay. All right.
So when he would crash in that close, he had basically abandoned first base, and I think it was Craig Counsell.
Oh, interesting.
I know it was.
Really?
It was the Brewers. I don't remember if it was before Craig or if it was Craig.
The
Brewers are the ones who complained, and then the Cubs had to give him.
Makes sense.
There's not a lot of there aren't left-handed infielders' gloves.
Right, like I said,
so they had to give him an outfielder glove.
Well,
and I don't remember whose it was, but he only needed it for one batter, and then he actually got one. And then they would literally it would just be part of the deal. They would run out and throw him. They'd switch gloves.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, would that put a pause on the pitch clock?
You could purposely do it to game it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would probably last a game, right, before they change the rule.
What would the rule change to? Like if you're switching fielders, there's no spirit of the rule that you're violating. There's certainly not the letter of the law, right? Like there's no you can switch fielders all you want. I mean, shit, if you could play Travis Wood in left field.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I do wonder, is there like a 3-batter minimum on that now?
Yeah,
on how long a guy has to stay in one position.
That's probably the rule that they would make. Like that's it.
Right.
If you switch positions, there's a 3-batter minimum.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it interesting? I'm not sure that's interesting, but all right. Huh. Well, regardless. Just seeing, look at that. I was ripping on Carson Kelly, and he just did something, huh? If Ballesteros plays well and you got to leave him up, you got to do something.
Yeah, and I was wondering, it's weird, right? So they brought up their two most prized rookies, Horton and Moises. 2
of the 4 or 5.
Horton is their number 1 prospect, and Ballesteros was their 4th, but he's by far their best hitter, right? They don't have a better hitter in the system.
Well, Kevin Alcantara.
He's doing a pretty good impression of a guy who can't hit this year. He strikes out half.
And I do think if Matt Shaw reaches his full potential, could be a better hitter than Ballesteros. But there's probably the best offensive upside with Ballesteros.
The move they would have wanted to have made was to have brought Alcantara up now.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest. Gives you he plays left and say it goes back to DH, but they couldn't. I mean, he's hitting better, but he's still striking out a ridiculous amount. But what I was saying was, so you've got the hotshot rookie pitcher and the hotshot rookie hitter, and they're kind of on opposite. They're at opposite points of their quote unquote development, where the older player Cade is a guy who you probably, when Shota comes back, you probably like, well, maybe we should send him back to Iowa. We'll keep him on his regular 6-day whatever, and we'll continue to build him up because he just hasn't pitched very much over the years.
Right.
Whereas Ballesteros, who's younger, has had plenty of at-bats in the minors. Like, I don't think you'd have a worry about, well, we can't keep him up if we're not going to get him in the lineup every day. It's like, you don't have a bat on that bench. If you need to keep him probably just to have a threat. And I don't think you have to worry about, like, well, it's going to fuck up his development. He's developed, right? Like, the thing with Moises right now is you just have to find a place for him to play, not whether or not. So if the argument when Happ comes back, because they've got so many useless pieces on the bench. Their bench is almost all useless pieces. Other than the backup catcher, Brujan sucks.
Turner sucks.
Turner is he's completely done.
Right.
Yeah.
Birdie's okay, but he's got to play. One of those guys has to play. Nicky Lopez is useless.
Yeah.
So why would you? It's going to be very hard to make an argument to send if Moises hits at all. It's going to be a very tough argument to make to send him back. Because at some point, somebody on that bench has to be able to hit late in the game, right?
Well, I get what you're saying about development, but it's not really about development. I guess it is, but like if you have him up, you got to play him like 4 or 5 times a week at least. You just have to.
But that was my whole point. I don't think he's at that point where you have to do that anymore, right? Like if your whole goal is to get to the playoffs, I don't think you're going to stunt Moises Ballesteros' hit tool by not playing him enough. If it was 2 years ago, yeah, but it's not. I mean, he's basically taking batting practice at Iowa. At some point, what does hitting 360 at Iowa really do for you?
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, we're way ahead of time. He may go, what if he doesn't get a hit?
Exactly.
Right.
If he winds up getting off to this kind of start to his hitting career that like PCA got off to in 2023 early last year, could be beneficial for him. Let's not.
He's getting. So as we say this, Moises is coming up with the bases loaded in the 4th inning, and he's getting a standing ovation. He has not yet had a hit in the big leagues. It's his second at bat, and Cub fans are giving him a standing ovation.
Well, when Wilson came up and made his debut, you made a good
bat
point
number 2.
No. When Wilson came up for his first day, he pinched in his first game up, and they gave him a standing ovation.
And he hit the first pitch he saw for a home run. First pitch he swung at a home run.
Remember it well.
That was the first pitch.
There.
Wait. Yeah. Okay.
Wilson just hit a home, and then the second pitch he ever saw in the big leagues. First one he ever swung at, he hit a home run. Just like Jim Bullinger, he hit a home run on the first pitch he ever swung at in the big league. I think maybe Pete Crow had to change numbers from 52 to 4 to allow, so then they can retire it for Jim Bullinger.
Oh, maybe.
Had to clear the path for him.
Like even with PCA, so to get back to point, like would he have made such a drastic change in his stance if he didn't struggle against MLB pitching regularly at the beginning of the year? Or were the Cubs already putting that in motion? Like I think there's value in any young player coming up and just getting at bats against major league pitching because it's definitely God damn it. It's definitely there's value in that. Like it's different pitching than there is in AAA.
Yeah, the argument isn't like would it be better for Moises to get at bats? Of course it would be.
Yeah.
My question is, given the state of the Cubs bench, wouldn't you be better off with a guy? Wouldn't it be nice to have one guy on the bench who could hit? Just one?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think with Matt Shaw, he didn't have enough time at AAA yet, right? Like it's good for him to get back to the minors. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Well, they probably need to make a decision on him. They probably need to bring him back, certainly by June 1st, right?
Why?
Because you need to watch him play and decide if you need to go out and trade for a third baseman or not.
Exactly.
Oh, well, I think you got to do that anyway.
Well, if you bring him up and he hits, you don't have to do it.
I mean,
why would you replace him if he's hitting? Why would you need to go trade something for a third baseman if Matt Shaw is hitting?
Well, but just leave him at AAA and let him hit in AAA. Let him continue to season.
That's not the question. The question was, if you bring him up in June and he hits,
right.
then you don't need to go to get a third baseman. He's not going to prove at some point. It's just like this. It's not going to prove he can hit in Iowa either. We know he can hit in Iowa. He has.
But you're not replacing him, right? You're just getting a veteran third baseman who's pretty good, assuming that you get a good third baseman.
Right, but you would be trading something to fill a hole that you might not have. You've got other holes you have to fill.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, I suppose you're right. Pitching,
they're going to have to get bullpen, and they're going to have to get a starting pitcher. And if they don't need to trade another body for a third baseman, it'd be nice to know that.
I see what you're saying.
And if you do need to, you need to know it. Like you need, fuck, this isn't going to work. We got to go get a third baseman.
Well,
so he's got to come back at some point to prove it, because you can't just go by. It was like he's in town. And Pat is really worried he's going to haunt the Cubs. It's like when Mervis failed and they sent him back to Iowa. And the first time, he went right back to hitting again.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, we know he can hit in Iowa, but the second time they sent him down, he didn't. He was bad.
Right.
That was fun. So last night, because Alex Cohen and Ryan Dempster were the TV team. Jesus, just the worst.
Yeah.
I actually ran into Ryan Dempster on the way out, too.
Did you? Said
hi to him for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I listened to Pat and Ron instead. I just synced up the phone and listened to them. And Pat was very concerned that Matt Mervis was going to have some kind of huge revenge series. So I was looking at Mervis's stats. In 90 at bats, he had struck out 42 times. Like, holy shit. Like, I know he's got like 7 homers. Like, he's doing pretty good. No, he's not. He's not doing good. He's terrible.
I mean, when you give up somebody like Vidal Brujan, you have to play the guy who you get for. So exactly. I can see the Marlins point.
I mean, Vidal would have been a huge part of this Marlins team.
Yeah. I mean, well, he'd have no one to play. Right? They have Xavier Edwards at shortstop, who may or may not be good. They got Connor Norby at third base. I don't know if Vidal doesn't have a place to go.
Yeah, those two are very clearly indispensable on the Marlins.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Vidal can play anywhere, though.
That's true. Yeah. Well.
The Vidal and those, he wears the double oven mitt when he runs the bases.
Okay.
He has to pinch run because he can't get on base by himself. But when they pinch run him,
right.
He's got these like lobster claws that he's trying to grab the base with. Actually, not even that. They're banded. It's like he's in the lobster tank. The claws are banded shut. And then he slides really late.
Yeah.
And he has no chance of ever holding onto the bag. Like when the first time he tried to steal for the Cubs, he went past the bag. He was halfway into left field when they just jogged out and tagged him out. It's like, Vidal, I think there may be a flaw in your plan here, which is if you're going to slide head first, you have to be able to grab the bag with something. Okay. Never mind.
Well, are those Bears coaches from when Hard Knocks was on last year during the episode where all the quarterbacks were doing sliding drills? Are they still employed? Because maybe we can Vidal a few things.
Oh, I would think unless Flukes took them to Dallas, I think they got a lot of free time on their hands. They can come by and get the slip and slide out for Vidal, and we can teach him how to slide into the base with. I mean, that's fine. I don't know why he's so worried about jamming a finger. I mean, he's not going to play in the field. If I were Craig, I would just take those things away from him. No, you can't wear these.
The one thing you got to do is slide. The one thing you got to do is
the only thing you need to do.
It's the only thing you need to do.
I mean, can't Quentin Berry explain it to him? His whole career was just pinch running and stealing bases. Like that was his job for 10 years in the big leagues. And he can't convince Vidal, you don't need those. Sorry.
It'd be the opposite of how some people like in the hospital have to have their hands like strapped because they might rip their tubes out or something like that. You have to actually
they have to put spacers between Vidal's fingers so they're out.
Right.
I don't know about this, man. Try it. It's gonna be fine.
Do those things just keep you from jamming your fingers into the base when you slide?
Yeah, I'm interested what's inside of it. Like,
yeah.
Is there like a little? I almost picture I wonder if there's like a thing in there that you like a whole like wrap your fingers around.
Well, I don't think so because you put it. I'm
like Pete wears one on his throwing hand.
Right.
His is ridiculously long. which I think he sometimes uses to like try to beat a close throw, but he can grab the bag then with his other hand and hold it.
Yeah.
Vidal is the only guy I've seen who wears two.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he's got nothing to grab onto with. It doesn't make any sense.
I think it keeps your hand straight so you don't so you don't break a finger. I have no idea.
In the good old days, guys used to just hold their batting gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
So you slid in fist.
And you
first.
already had a fist. You weren't going to jam your precious little finger.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's up with those. Ovaltine, what's up with that? I don't know.
What do you guys? Did you either of you see? Because it was on free television. Did either of you see the Cade Horton big league debut on Saturday night?
Looked very impressive.
Yes, where was I?
It was the Saturday night game. It was on Fox.
No, right.
Luckily, I was watching somewhere that did not have the game audio on, so I didn't have to.
Oh, you didn't have to listen to AJ Przinsky? The best part of the game for AJ was, but I admit, I thought the same thing. When Beatty's up with 2 on, Cade throws him a slider that he missed by 3 feet. Like, he couldn't hit it with an oar. And AJ goes, if you throw him 2 more sliders, you're going to strike him out. The next one Cade threw, he hung so bad, and Beatty smoked it for a 3-run. Like, the sentence hadn't left AJ's mouth, and the ball is flying to the bleachers. It's like, well, what about that, AJ? Yeah, I didn't. He didn't start. They did the
they did the opener. Yeah.
And so on the Fox broadcast, their theory was that then he would only have to face the top of the Mets lineup once instead of twice.
Twice.
But then Praz, was it you that opined, or maybe it was Frank, that then his first 3 hitters he faced in the big leagues wouldn't be, Lindor, Soto, and Alonso.
I was more
like, I would want those to be the first 3 guys. I would want to strike them out. I want to announce my presence with authority.
I mean, he did wind up going on to face them
twice? Anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's the point. Like, you face them 2 times.
But if it hadn't been for the hits, he hit Starling Marte, and then Amaya got what I thought was a bullshit catcher interference. They showed the replay twice, and it did not look like the bat ever hit his glove.
No, not at all.
Though that's what he would have gotten through the 5th without facing those guys the second time. That extended it enough that he had to get them out. But honestly, it made for the best moment of his start, which was when he gets to the 2-2 count with Soto, who was clearly looking for a fastball.
Right.
And Cade threw the only changeup he threw in the entire game, and Soto
awesome.
He screwed himself right into the dirt. It was great.
Yeah. Dude, Cade looked
and then Alonso hit one about 400 miles an hour right to third.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're good hitters. Cade looked fine. Like, he was fine. Oh, I remember where I was. I was at the Cubby Bear, of all places. That's right.
No.
Watching it.
Are you still there? Because those floors are extremely sticky, and it's hard to...
You just left your shoes
around there.
It's not a good image.
Yeah, because you don't want to know why they're sticky.
No.
Right.
There's all kinds of fluid.
They used to have they used to have a Sunday brunch buffet there, and that's where I saw Brian Robinson block the Green Bay field goal.
Yeah. When
nice.
The ghost of sweetness lifted him up.
Yes. Yes.
I was in the Omaha airport.
Wow.
The girl I was dating lived in Lincoln, and we had gone to visit her family. And we got to the airport early so that I could see the Bear game.
There you go.
Otherwise, we were going to get caught in transit.
That's pretty funny.
She's like, fine, we'll do it. I went there to go to she went to Nebraska, and I had to sit through a Husker home game. And I was like, if I'm doing this, I want to make sure I see the Bears. That's
fun. What's it called? If you had to do it all over again, you could stop the Rickettses from buying the Cubs. You could have stopped evil.
Oh, yeah, in Nebraska.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't know. I could have stopped by Joe's house. I could have just set the house on fire.
Well,
Yeah.
at that was probably around the time that Tom would have been out in the bleachers meeting his wife. You know,
Yeah, he'd have been at Loyola. You guys could have taken care of him.
Oh,
More conveniently
I
than me.
was 5 years old at the time, so
Still.
But I could have gone. If I'd have cut the phone line to the Ricketts house in Omaha, they'd have gone bankrupt.
There you go.
Right? Because they were doing phone trading. That's what TD Ameritrade was, right? You could trade on the phone.
Is that right?
So
Is that
give a snip, and
yeah.
they don't get any money. And so then, what's his name? Mark Walters from Guggenheim would have bought the Cubs instead.
Oh.
The Cubs would have maybe run like the Dodgers now.
Oh man. I would have settled for Cuban. Wasn't that the thing? Cuban didn't get approved. He wanted to buy the Cubs.
Who was second? Jim. Well, I can't think. I don't want to get. I'm gonna get text from
in a similar story to yours when I went to
Canning.
Jim Canning.
Something Canning.
A similar story to yours about the Bears when I was
John.
The first time I ever went to Europe was in January of 2002, and the Bears were playing the Eagles in the playoffs. This was in January, and instead of going to Paris, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to find the Bears game in Paris, so I just went to London instead. So I missed Paris just to watch the Bears.
That's worth it.
Playoff game, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who was supposedly the front runner before the Ricketts ended up getting the Cubs was a Chicago-based private equity mogul, John Canning Jr.
Okay.
He was one of Bud's buddies. So everybody thought he was the guy who was going to get it. He was the chairman of Madison Dearborn Partners.
Oh,
he's
interesting.
A friend and business associate of Bud Selig. He owned a piece of the Brewers when the Seligs ran the team, and he still, as of 2007, he owned 11% of the Brewers. He was going to sell them and divest himself of the Brewers to buy the Cubs. So who knows? It might have been just a different shade of bad.
Could have been the Ishbias before the Ishbias.
I kind of can't wait till they take over the White Sox so they can embarrass the Ricketts as good. I don't wish well to the White Sox. I'm a well wisher.
No, but it would be nice to have them actually feel like they, have to pony up.
I don't think
you can shame. I don't think you can shame them. That's the problem.
Right, and that would require a bit of self-awareness, which I also think they lack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen Tom's haircut. You have a pretty good idea that he's not terribly self-aware.
Yeah. Is she still married to the woman to who he met in the bleachers?
Yeah, but she still has to live there.
In the bleachers?
He's got like a tent.
She lives in the utility tunnel of fame.
He got like a tent. Well, I got to go see the wife. Could you call Al and see if he can just check on her? I don't think I can get to the park today.
Don't even think about giving her a foot massage, Al. Oh, man.
So I would guess Cade's going to get a start against the White Sox.
This weekend, right? Yeah, he must. He should.
There's no excuse to give up a hit in that one.
Exactly. Well, it'll be a combined no-hitter. He's probably still on somewhat of an innings restriction,
I would think against the White Sox, if he's on a 70 pitch, he should at least pitch 8 innings. How many pitches does it take to get through the White Sox?
Didn't they just take 2 out of 3 from someone?
Somebody bad, like the Marlins.
That's
who they just took 2 or 3
correct.
from.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's amazing is that and this is typical White Sox, right? So for the few Sox fans who just decided to steer into the skid last year and just embrace the fact that if you're gonna have a bad year, you might as well have the worst ever. The Rockies seem hell bent on destroying that.
Oh man, this is like it's like the polar opposite of Bonds beating out McGuire's home run record 3 years after he broke Maris.
That's so bad. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Bud Black got fired after a win.
Yes, he did.
You got to go out on top
after a really, really, really bad loss. 21-0 the night before.
Yeah. Well, you can't fire a guy after losing 21-0. That's just adding insult to injury.
Oh, you can.
Kidding.
If I were Bud, I would have wanted to get fired during that game.
Can somebody put
In
him
the
on
third
the
inning.
screen?
I'd
Yeah.
have gone
right.
out to change pitchers with no pants on. I'd have tried everything to get fired.
Ah. Oh, man. Whatever happened to Steve Lyons? Steve Lyons still alive?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he is.
Oh, man.
I like the fact that he realized it right away that he had just dropped Trow in front of
Yeah.
right on
Yeah.
the field, and he's like, "Oh God!" Because I think if he hadn't reacted like that, I think a lot of people wouldn't have known. Like you see guys do weird stuff, like with their getting dirt out of their pants and stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, of course, he had his pants around his
Yeah.
knees, so maybe that was. But he had, he had like sliding shorts on.
Yeah, it's sliding
It's
shorts
not
on.
like
It wasn't that big a
it's
deal.
not like it was like Pedro Serrano in his cup standing there.
Or Mark Grace, yeah.
He drops Trout. It's just like I don't know, like a Family Guy boxer shorts he's wearing. Oh wait, back Family Guy wasn't on back then. What was that, like early '90s that he did that? 92, 93.
I don't know. He was a Red Sox, right?
When he
At
did
the
it,
time. Yeah.
I thought it was a
he
White Sox.
He was a
Yeah, I
White
thought
Sox
he
when
did
he
it
did
with.
it?
Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah.
Steve Lyon drops pants. It even fills it in for you.
Yeah. Well, what else are you gonna Google search?
Yeah,
Steve
Sox.
Lyons?
It was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some other like controversy with Steve Lyons when he was a broadcaster too? That
Yes,
like,
he made a remark to Lou Piniella when they were
yes, with Lou. That's right.
about
my
he was
God.
like about that Lou was going to try to steal his wallet.
What?
So he dives headfirst. Dan Petrie, the ump blew the call. He's out. They call him safe. Petrie's losing his mind. So that's what everybody's looking at. And then now Steve has dropped his pants. And
He did it at first base.
there he goes. Oh yeah, he did it. And then he realizes right away, and then he looks up.
He was standing at second base when he did that.
First base. He had just beaten the
Yeah,
throw
first
first.
base. Okay. I think
And then
that's
he
what it
really
is.
milked it. He wandered around with his pants open for a good, I don't know. It's been going on for 30 seconds. Put your fucking pants on, Steve.
Oh man.
He was just showing Cecil Fielder his goods.
I did. I appreciated your story with Dave about Prince. Was it Cecil who they kicked out of the?
Yeah,
who they
Cecil.
would let-
So that the Snappers that year had
Yeah.
both Tony Gwynn Jr. and Prince Fielder. So
Yeah.
at various times,
Oh wow.
it was not uncommon for both Cecil and Tony to be at the park, which
Yeah.
you don't usually get celebrities of that ilk in Beloit.
Right.
And we saw Cecil a lot. And a lot of times when I would go into the clubhouse to show Don Money to let him yell at me about the box score, Cecil would be in there just shooting a shit with Don. They'd be drinking a beer. And Cecil always had his Yankee World Series ring on. That thing was as big as he was.
Yeah.
And I showed up for work one day, and the guy I sat in the press box with goes, "I don't think we're going to be seeing Cecil anymore."
Oh.
What? And that was he was Prince's agent.
Yeah.
Quotes. And he had lost he owed a casino a shitload of money.
Oh wow.
And the casino served Prince for what Cecil owed. They were suing Prince for the money that his dad owed. And Prince had just gotten that. And he was like, we're not seeing Cecil anymore. And we didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
He never got it.
Okay.
I
I had always heard about some kind of feud between Cecil and Prince. I didn't know that was the source of it.
And that came up because Prince's kid is now playing in the minors.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Is he in the minor? He got drafted already? I thought he was.
I think we
Yeah,
talked
he
about
was
this
14 or
last
signed
time.
with somebody, right?
He's a undrafted free agent last year, but has like been doing really well in the Brewers system.
Jaden.
Yeah. Oh, the Brewers signed him. Okay.
Yeah, he's a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
That's all he is.
What is he doing this year? Is he hitting the ball okay? A home run, 5 RBIs, 350, 440, 990 OPS in 20 at-bats this year.
That's nothing.
He's playing for the rookie affiliate. Interesting.
In the Arizona Complex League. I'll give you a complex.
He's 21. 20.
He's 20, so he's that's league average. That's the average age for that league. So it's not.
Is it really? For the rookie league?
It's 20.
I
Well, you can
guess.
see if you look on Baseball Reference next to it, the
Oh,
0.4 means he's 4 months older than, or 0.4 of a year older than the average.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I assumed that was where they sent like the 17-year-olds who graduated from the complex leagues and the high schoolers who get drafted. But I guess not. Apparently not. He's 0.4 older.
I didn't know the
years
Arizona
older.
Complex League started this early. I thought it was more of a like they always
The
had
complex league or the rookie league? Or I guess that is the complex league. All right.
They used to have these short season leagues in like the Northwest.
Right.
And that's where Chris Bryant, he signed his contract. They sent him to Eureka. And he struck out 5 times in his first game.
In Eureka.
And so I saw that and I tweeted. This is back in the good old Twitter days.
Yeah.
I tweeted, "Oh, he's already a bust." And a bunch of people like freaked out. How could you? That's one game. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, Jesus. It's like, fucking A.
You're
It's
like,
kind
"Guys,
of like the very ponderous discussions I had to have with some idiot who is a huge Alex Cohen fan and was just wanted me to detail why I didn't like Alex. And it's like, I don't. What? No, I don't. I'm not interested enough to have this discussion with you. I don't like him because he sucks. There.
Right.
That's the reason. Why does he suck? He just does. If you can't tell, there's something wrong with you, not me.
Can't you just admit that Alex Cohen is good? Just hold on before we move on to another topic.
Yeah, do I have to apologize to? I have to apologize to him like I had to apologize to Hap last year.
Yeah, hey, you might have to.
do. And I was still right about Hap.
I was trying to do the impression of Donald Trump with that reporter about the MS-13.
Oh yeah, no, it's right there.
Just
Saw the Photoshop.
Just why can't
There's
you
so many
admit
things
it?
I'd like to be. All right, excuse me, Mr. President, can you explain what Photoshop is? What? It's a place you go for. It's one of those little huts where you take the film and they develop it while you wait in an hour. That's a Photoshop, right? No, that's not what that is.
Oh,
it's
man.
It's right next to the sunglass hut. No, it's not. That's not what that is.
When does DeCipio get their private jet from the Saudis?
Oh, we've had one for quite a while. I don't know why it took so long to. Ours is not 14 years old though, like the one they're trying to give to Trump.
It's 14 years old. It's
not even new.
One?
No, it's not even new. I found that out when somebody was bitching about why is the president flying around a 40-year-old airplane?
The vice president is?
No, the president is. Like, well, Air Force One might be 40 years old, but I have a feeling there is not a part on it that is older than
40,
3 years old. Yeah.
Right. It's well
and that's the other
maintained.
thing, right? Like, so with the plane they get from the Saudis, by the time they would take that plane and do all the shit they have to do to it to make it like Air Force One, it's going to be. I mean, that's why they're supposedly building a new Air Force One, but it takes forever because the thing has to be like a flying tank. It has to be able to withstand a nuclear blast. It literally has like anti-missile defenses on it and all kinds of shit. And then and you got to make the Wi-Fi work. So you got all that.
Got to be firing off those tweets on the plane.
That's right.
Well, to be truth, their truth, whatever the tweets, whatever their tweets.
He and Elon are buddies,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like the Wi-Fi might be the least of their problems because Elon's got Starlink, so they're good.
Yeah, there you go.
So you guys saw that Pete Rose got reinstated.
Yes.
Because now, if you're banned from baseball, all you have to do is die.
Yes.
And now you get to come back. Did you see, though, that he's not the biggest name on that list?
I did see that.
Dead players who have been
much
reinstated.
earlier. Yeah.
Because the great Cozy Dolan is back, baby.
Oh,
Now
you're
Cozy,
referring to someone else.
Okay.
why is Shoeless Joe back too?
Yeah. All
is
the
back.
Black Sox, yeah.
Who gives a shit about Shoeless Joe?
Unless any of them are still alive, in which
No.
case they're still
Cozy
banned.
got banned in 1924
Okay.
for a very spurious reason.
Okay.
It was called the O'Connell-Dolan bribe fiasco of September 1924. So Cozy was coaching for, I gotta say, oh shit, I didn't remember this part. Who was he coaching for? For the Giants, the New York Giants.
Okay.
And he convinced utility outfielder. What's a utility outfielder? You're just an outfielder?
Yeah.
Jimmy O'Connell
Okay.
to go up to Philly shortstop Heine Sand. Now there's a problem we have in modern baseball. Not enough guys named Heine.
I agreed.
I love Heine. Love Heine Zimmerman, one of my all-time favorite Cubs.
Yep.
And he Cozy convinced Jimmy to offer Heine $500 to throw a game against the Giants. That's it? You get banned for that? It's nothing. $500 in 1924? What's that in modern day money? Like,
It sounds like
$1 billion? I don't know.
It sounds like a he said.
Giants had a game and a half lead.
Okay.
And if they would lose, if they were swept by the Phillies and the Dodgers won just 2 games against the even more lowly Boston Braves, the Giants might have got edged out by the Dodgers to win the pennant.
What do you mean might? If they had a 1-game lead?
Well, they would have been. If all that had happened, it would have happened.
Yeah.
Dodgers would have won the pennant.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this wasn't the Merkel Boner year.
So this is that was 1908. Right?
Yeah, I was 1908.
Yeah. Fred played for the Cubs after that.
Yes.
They went and got him. They'd like to cut of his jib so much from that game that years later they signed him. Why do we remember that name?
No, that can't be right.
Yes. Oh, it's right. Fred Merkel played for the Cubs.
No.
Anyway.
I don't think it was. Yeah.
Well, you don't think it's because they like the cut of his jib because he wandered into the outfield without touching second base?
Sorry, I thought for some reason you mentioned that this Dolan guy played for the Cubs. I thought that's where you were going.
No, Cozy didn't. Cozy didn't play.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, there's a really good story for this on the Sabre website, and one of the best things is that they detail Cozy going to meet with Kennesaw and Mountain Landis.
Yeah. Oh God.
And he is asked, Landis asks him, did you tell O'Connell to bribe Heine? And he said he sat there for several minutes pondering the question and finally said, I don't remember. How did that not work?
Hey,
what a great defense.
deny.
Like, you just imagine sitting in a room with a guy looking around for like 5 minutes, and then at the end he's like, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Well, he's back. Cozy can now be elected to the Hall of Fame thanks to Rob Manfred.
The idea of sitting there for minutes and just letting silence.
Like, so there was just silence.
That's a power move. Like that's pretty awesome.
It is, yeah.
I like this Cozy Dolan guy.
I do too.
All right.
I only knew there was one because when I've got it. When the only ones you can see it. I don't know what I did. Oh, you can't see it. My monitor's sitting on it.
Okay.
Stats Incorporated, one year early Discipio sent me the book, the all-time Major League Handbook. It's like a 2,000-page book with all the stats. It was that you could look at all the stats. And the first thing I did was look up to see if any Dolans had played. And Cozy's our man.
Nice.
He played for Cincinnati. Were they the Reds? Or were they the, let's see. 1909. They would have been the Reds.
Okay.
He played for the New York Giants. He played for the Phillies. He played for they were the Reds then.
I don't see how you can keep him out of the Hall of Fame.
Played for the Pirates. 2 years with the Cardinals.
Okay, now I can see how you can keep him out of the Hall of Fame.
1915 was his last year with the Cardinals, and then he resurfaced in 1922 for one more season. One more game. I wonder, he must have been. I bet he was coaching with the Giants and he was pressed into service because he played a game in 1922.
Eat your heart out Caleb Fieldbar and Drew
Yeah.
Pomerantz.
In 7 years, he had 299 hits. His career slash line 252, 328, 333. He was a 95 OPS plus. He played
All right.
outfield, third base, and shortstop. He's from Oshkosh.
All right.
Okay. Wisconsin guy.
Albert James Cozy Dolan.
Okay. Cozy Dolan.
Oh, we had some more. Oh, gotta go back to 1800s. Biddy, 1914. Biddy Dolan. Joe Dolan, 1896.
So when I first started learning IT stuff, I was learning networking, Windows networking back in the late 90s. No, maybe it was early 2000s. My instructor at the time had done some IT work for Stats Inc. And so he took me to their office because he knew I was such a huge baseball fan. And I met some of those guys. It was pretty cool. They were in headquarters. I think it was Morton Grove. Somewhere around.
Yeah, they had a place in Skokie.
Yeah, maybe it was
I think.
Skokie. Yeah. Because that's where the school was. It was pretty cool to go and hang out and just kind of. I don't remember whom I met. I don't remember any of the guys, but it was pretty cool to go hang out there and kind of talk some baseball for a half hour or so.
They would pay people to score games.
Yes.
At home. Yeah, or go to the park and do it. And you'd turn it in. When I was official score for the Snappers, the Elias Sports Bureau was in charge of all the stats, and that's who I had to send them to I had to send the box score there after every game.
Oh, interesting.
And you had to make sure that it loaded. And that was the thing. One of the biggest pain in the asses about doing that job was they had like two computers in the office that had internet. And there was one asshole who knew I had to send it every night, and he always just happened to be on his computer. I'm like, can I use it? No, I'm in the middle of something. I'm like, what the fuck? It's 10 o'clock at night. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So at first I was polite. Then I wasn't very polite after that.
No.
I was like, motherfucker, I am not sitting here till 11, so you can, play solitaire and jerk off at your desk. I'm sending it in.
Yeah, look, if
you don't like it, you can send it in. Here's the floppy disk. You can send it in.
And if you're going to jerk off, do it at the Cubby Bear.
That's right. Right on the floor.
That's accepted there.
Yeah, I wanted to. I knew that. Now that you mentioned about getting paid to do the box scores and stuff, I want to do that. But the Cubs were like on a waiting list or something. Like I really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, if you were willing to do like the Mariners or something.
Yeah. Like how were you going to watch? I don't think there was a way to watch the game. I don't remember what it was. How you were supposed to do it.
Yeah, I probably could have done it because I had the dish and I had. But it wouldn't have been that reliable because not every game was on back then, even on the baseball.
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm sure is why they were begging people to do it. I mean, they would take out ads in the Sporting News and ask people to do it. It's amazing we have any stats at all.
Right.
The Cubs are just barely hanging on to first place over the Red Hot Cardinals.
Dude, how have they won 9 in a row?
Oh, well, they've given up 7 runs in those 9 games.
Is that right? Holy crap.
They're not good, but they're it's one of the things Bert wrote this week that I really agreed with is this. It's kind of nice that it's kind of good that the Cardinals are having this hot streak out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because it'll like paralyze them at the deadline. When they actually should be selling Arenado and Helsley and those guys. They might be like, oh no, we're in it. Like, no, you're not.
If you remember
in
2021, this was kind of the case for the Cubs around this time of year. They were really hot in May. And, I mean, maybe there's some kind of cold streak coming for the Cardinals that will force their hand to sell off like the Cubs did, but you never know.
In their last 6 games, they have allowed 6 runs.
Wow.
Here's who they have played during their. Now they did win 2 out of 3 against the Mets at home.
Yeah, I was going to say they did beat the Mets pretty good.
They swept the Pirates. They swept the Nats.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did beat the Phillies last night, and it rained out tonight.
Yep.
So that helps. Their schedule gets a little tougher now. They've got the 2 more with the Phillies, and they go to Kansas City for 3, home with the Tigers for 3, Arizona for 3, at Baltimore, at Texas, the Royals again, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Brewers, the White Sox.
I hope they lose to the White Sox. I don't really care. Like, I can't. It's hard to root against the White Sox these days. I guess it's not hard.
It's really easy to forget they
kind of
exist.
Fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think more than anything, it's like
it's kind of just a waste of time.
They're so
really
irrelevant.
Have any animosity towards them?
The indifference is building up.
Well, this season is only going to be remembered for the fact that the Pope is a Sox fan. That's basically all they got to hang their hat on. How about the fact that so this was Adam Amin, who should know better. He got confused. He was saying that the Cubs put on their marquee that the Pope was a Cub fan. Well, no, Marquee reported that the Pope was a Cub fan. And it turned out that he's not a White Sox fan. It was pretty incredible that they actually found that shot of him at the 05 World Series in the stands. Like,
really?
Yes, they actually have footage of him. Just a random crowd cutaway, and it's him. He's there with his brother and brother's kid. They're watching the game.
Cool. Well, there's a famous story that's relatively famous of a guy who got accused of murder or something, and it turned out that he was at the Dodgers game.
Yeah,
that was taking place.
Yeah, that's a cool one, and then that was part of the. Oh no, he was. Shit, I wish I could remember this now. I think part of his proof.
Yeah.
Was on Curb. There was an episode where Larry hired a prostitute to ride in his car so he could use the carpool lane to get to Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
And then he took her to the game. And I think that guy is in the footage, in the background from that game. And that's part of what he used to prove he was at the Dodger game. Was you can see him in the Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm positive that's what it was.
Oh, that's an even better story.
Wow, that's like the famous shot of both Trump and Hillary at that Cardinals-Mets playoff game in 06.
Yeah, here it is. How a taping of Curb Your Enthusiasm saved an innocent man from death row.
Wow. That's awesome. That's just cool.
In May of 2003, 16-year-old Martha Puebla was shot to death on the doorstep of her home in Sun Valley, California. The sole eyewitness fled immediately, fearing for his life, but left his cell phone behind at the scene. When the cell phone led police back to the witness, he provided a description the police said matched to Juan Catalan. Just days prior, Puebla testified in court about 2 murders allegedly committed by her ex-boyfriend, Jose Ledesma, and Catalan's brother, Mario. Police theorized that Catalan killed Puebla in retaliation for her testimony, even though she never identified the perpetrators in court. Catalan was arrested and interrogated, but insisted he had nothing to do with the murder. Months had passed, but he couldn't recall his whereabouts on that night. He remained in custody, and during a call, his girlfriend, Alma Oseguera, reminded him that on the night of the murder, he was at Dodger Stadium watching a baseball game with their 6-year-old daughter and other family members.
Wow.
Oseguera still had the tickets from that day's game, but more evidence was needed to prove that Catalan had attended. His attorney, Todd Melkin, contacted Sam Fernandez, senior vice president of the Dodgers, asking to see all the video footage from that night's game. After poring over tapes for hours, Melkin found footage of Catalan in his seat, but the resolution was poor. Catalan told Melkin that he remembered an outside film crew taping in his section of the stadium that night. Melkin uncovered records that HBO had been filming episode 7 of season 4 of Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm that day. HBO allowed Melkin to view all the footage from that day, and after viewing nearly all of it, he found what he was looking for: a clear shot of Catalan and his daughter heading back to their seat from the concession stand as David ascended the aisle in front of them. Prosecutors did not relent, claiming Catalan would have had time to commit the murder if he left the stadium shortly after the footage captured him there. Melkin then procured cell phone records, placing him at the stadium at the time of the murder. Judges dismissed the charges against Catalan. He was released. So there you go.
That's one of the great stories.
That is crazy.
That really tells you something about our justice system, though, huh?
It does.
Hey, find any evidence you can find. Man.
What's not that? Like, imagine, like, the guy was innocent, and if he wouldn't have found that footage, there was no
Yeah.
way to prove, like, he would have gotten railroaded. Well, I can't say that for sure, but you know what I mean?
It seems like it. I mean, even after they found the footage, the prosecutor still wanted him.
Right.
They still wouldn't admit that he wasn't there or that he was there. Speaking of a guy who's going to need an alibi,
Yeah.
what the hell's going on with Jerry Merriweather?
He's back to not being good.
Correct. Two pitches into his outing tonight, the Cubs are now down 3-2.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah.
I didn't even see that he was in the game tonight.
Yeah.
So the Pete Rose thing, Jane Clark Forbes, president of the Baseball Hall of Fame, says Pete can't go back. Like, the writers will never vote again because Pete has long since aged out. So he'll be they have like the Eras Committee. You know, Taylor Swift, I think, is in charge of those. And,
Yes. And Taylor McGregor.
And the next time he can be up for it is 2027.
Okay.
Now there is a podcast called The Dollop, and it's two comedians. I should give them credit. Dave Anthony and Gareth Reynolds. Gareth Reynolds has a podcast with what's his God? Why did I forget his name? The guy who was on Jake what from New Girl. He's a big Cub fan.
Oh, okay. I think I know the guy we talked about, but anyway.
Jake Johnson. Yeah, I was right.
Okay.
Called We're Here to Help, which is a very funny podcast where they solicit people ask them advice and they give terrible advice. They're well-meaning, but terrible advice to people. And anyway, so on this podcast called The Dollop with Dave Anthony and Gareth Reynolds, Gareth is on it, and they do these deep dives into history. It's basically Remember This Crap, only about events.
Okay.
And there's a really good one on Ronald Reagan.
Oh.
Where they, we lived through some of that, and you don't even really know just how much awful shit was going on in his whole life, but especially when he was in the White Sox. Or with the White Sox, when he was in the White House. He wasn't with the White Sox.
I mean, which one is worse,
He may have
really?
been.
Yeah.
But they currently are on, I just got episode 2 of a 3-parter on Pete Rose.
Oh,
man.
And so part 1 was basically about young Pete in Cincinnati and then up through most of his playing career, including his the 14-year-old girl he was dating, claiming she was 16. Yeah, that doesn't make it that much better, Pete.
Right.
But it's pretty good. I mean, a lot of it is stuff and it's funny to listen to them just riff on it. But the guys who do the research for them always find some shit that you didn't know. So
I just I'm gonna listen to a couple of these. I've been listening to a lot of music as I walk the dog, but this sounds like something I should listen to.
I'm glad that
cool.
yet another generation can have these pointless conversations about whether Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God.
I was going to say, it feels with this new generation of writers that I don't think there's going to be much consideration for him being in.
Well, but see, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bunch of, and I believe the eras are from your era, right? What happens when you get too old and they're all dead? It'll be players.
Right.
They've got like the pre. I don't know what. There's 3 categories or 4 categories.
Like the Golden Era Committee, and then today's game. I want to say.
Yeah, there's a few different categories. So I think you just graduate to the next category. There's the Jerry Reinsdorf really wants this guy in the Hall of Fame category.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good one.
So like Dick Allen and Dave Parker are going in this year. They were elected by the Coca-Cola Classic Baseball Era Committee.
And then you got the new Coke. Yeah.
Is there a Crystal Coke committee? What was that? Was that the one that was the clear colored one?
That was Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi. Okay.
Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Coke is something else entirely.
So next, this winter in December, No, that's not right. Okay. The contemporary baseball era player ballot is in December of 2025 for those who will be elected in 26. Then the contemporary baseball era,
Is that what you
which
just said?
only reviews managers, executives, and umpires, is
Okay.
December of 2026. And then the
okay.
classic baseball era in December of 27 for inclusion class 28. That's the one Pete will be
Okay.
on. But what I was hoping to find on this site was I'd like to know who the people are. Maybe they don't know. Yeah, maybe they redo the committee
Who the
every year.
voters are? 'Cause there's
Yeah, I'd
little-
like to know who they are.
Okay.
It's always like a group of the Hall of Famers, like
Yeah, like Dave Winfield and Mike Schmidt, I think were
right.
the ones who elected Dave Parker and Dick Allen. Or at least two of those guys. I feel like that's right. I don't know. That's I'm kind of torn. I feel like there would be enough players who would be very uncool with what Pete Rose did. Like I don't know that he was that well liked, right?
No, I don't think he was. I don't think he was very well liked at all. I think he probably was. This is the cliche. I think he probably, if you played with him, he probably thought he was okay. If you played against him, he probably hated his ass.
Yeah. Like Dennis Rodman or something. But he just, I think Pete Rose was just an asshole, right? Like
Yeah.
he was,
Yeah.
like it wasn't like eccentric or went off to Vegas for 48 hours in the middle of the playoffs. I think he was just an asshole.
He in the first episode of the Dollop, they were talking about him running over Ray Fosse in the All-Star game, and then it's later that year, the next year when he crashes into Bud Harrelson in the playoffs, and they get in a fight in the middle of a playoff game. They're punching each other at second base. Gareth, who doesn't know a lot about sports, is like, he seems like kind of a dick. It's like, yeah, he does seem like kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
All you gotta do is just watch that interview with Jim Gray. You'll know everything you need to know about Pete Rose.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
But I don't know if there were no prominent ex-Cubs that got
Yeah, I wonder, like,
re-eligibated today, right?
I remember there being some, like, talk about, I don't know, maybe a decade ago or so, about, like, the 1918 Cubs kind of in similar fashion throwing that World Series to the 1919 White Sox. And that was one thing I was wondering about today when I saw the reinstated players, was like anyone from those teams.
I think there's a lot of rumors of like games being thrown back then.
Yeah. In fact, to the point where you get the feeling from 8 Men Out that it wasn't so shocking that they did it as much as it was so shocking that it was as like they made it too obvious.
Yeah, they got caught. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it wasn't
it was like you couldn't ignore what was happening. It was
right.
like, and they were so good, it didn't make any sense that they were, like they were propping the Reds up.
Well,
trying to beat them.
Coincidentally, right, the 1990 A's were so good, and they got swept by the Reds.
Well, they were probably throwing the game. Mark McGwire was probably
They weren't taking enough
steroids, right?
Yeah, so there were 17 deceased individuals today who got reinstated. Okay. Eddie Cicotti, right?
Yeah,
it's not Cicotti, it's
okay.
Cicotti.
Pitcher.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll say Cicotti. Why not?
Him and Happy were the masterminds, right? Is that, I have that right? If I remember my 8 Men Out.
David Strathairn was Cicotti, right? In the movie. I only know by who played him.
Oh, right.
Happy Felsch.
Okay.
Chick Gandil.
Yeah.
Joe Jackson.
Right.
Fred McMullen. Swede Risberg. Buck Weaver.
Yeah.
And Lefty Williams.
Yeah. Those are all the Black Sox.
So they're all good to go now.
Yeah.
Joe, I don't know if it's pronounced Gideon, Gedeon.
Okay.
Gene Paulette, Benny Koff, Lee McGee, Phil Douglas, Cozy
What did those guys get? More than the names, I want to know what they got banned for.
Well, let's find
look it up. I'll look it up. We should do a podcast just on that. That's what we need to bring Donahue in for.
What can you tell us about Joe Gideon? Elmer. Oh, Elmer Joe Gideon.
Uh-huh. What did he do?
He was a friend of Black Sox conspirator Swede Rusberg, and he was present during a meeting with the gamblers. So he's connected to it.
Oh.
All right. Who's
I should
Gene
watch that
Paulette?
movie again.
It is a good movie. And you get to see Studs Terkel.
Yeah. Just in case
Paulette was at the meeting. He had also allegedly received some gifts from St. Louis gamblers when he was with the. He had been a former Cardinal.
Like, I'm glad that the White Sox were the ones who got caught, because hell with them. I kind of feel it was pretty widespread, kind of like steroids. Steroids in the 90s and 2000s. Did we talk about my suspicions of Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine?
Last time we recorded. Yeah.
Was it on the podcast or was it outside of the podcast?
I think it was on the pod because we were talking about how he never had a stint.
Right.
Which
was kind of odd.
For Greg, it was just because he's an elite athlete.
Clearly.
I do love hearing stories about him, man. It really is fun. Like, I really do. It's fun listening to him.
Some of this stuff is almost unbelievable. Like the sitting in the Cub dugout and telling guys to move.
Right. Next ball.
And he's like, they're like, what? It's like, I would move. He said, if he throws that same pitch, the ball's going to, and then they would move, and then the ball would come rocketing into the dugout and hit right where the guys were sitting.
Or he'd tell one of his outfielders to stand in a certain spot and it would be hit right to him.
He called a shutout for Frank Castillo from the dugout. He called all the pitches. The catcher would look in the dugout, and Greg was calling the pitches for Frank.
You're kidding. No. I never heard that. Holy cow.
In that documentary they did on MLB Network, Eddie Perez was explaining how Greg would call pitches based on how he caught the ball.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, he had to change that up because once one of his catchers would go to another team, you could sit there and be like, I know what that is. But it would just, it would literally just how close to his body he caught the ball. If he'd reach out for it or he'd do this or he'd turn his body a little bit. And it was all this subtle shit, and it worked. I mean, my favorite story, we've told a million times about him, was when he came back to the Cubs for his second tour, and they had a game in 2004 against the Angels, and he throws a 2-2 pitch to Vladimir Guerrero, and he starts to walk off the mound, and it gets called a ball, and he is pissed. And Greg never got pissed. He's pissed, and he's snapping, and he's whatever. And so one of his teammates then asked him, like, why were you so mad? And he's like, I've been setting that motherfucker up for that pitch for 8 years. And I threw it and the ump blew it. For 8 years. Just waiting for a spot where he had to throw a pitch in a certain spot. He knew Vlad wouldn't be able to hit it. And he called it a ball.
Oh man.
I have my Discipio team's not so good this year, but I think we had an incredible moment in this last week.
Okay.
I have Ryan Presley.
Okay.
Ooh.
He gave up 9 earned runs. He only faced 8 batters, but he gave up 9 earned runs.
That's right.
Did not record an out.
Yeah.
And I won. I got the point for ERA this week in my matchup. I had a lower ERA for the week. Despite spotting my opponent 9 runs with no outs, I still ended up. The rest of my pitchers backed up good old Ryan Presley and bailed him out.
Yeah, my team's kind of not good either, although I'm kicking ass this week. Yeah, I'm in 6th place. It's too early for that league, though. Things happen in the summer.
Oh, I know.
How is Ryan Walker available in this league? I just realized somebody picked him up.
He just got
sure
released.
His ERA is kind of high.
Really?
Yeah, he's and Camilo Duvall is about to take that job back if he hasn't.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, Walker got cut on Sunday, I think.
I got to pay attention more.
I saw the same thing. Javi Baez just hit a home run for the Tigers.
Nice.
Another
That
one?
So
Or-
here's a question. So
That was interesting. Was that you talked about Javi Baez and how bad his StatCast looked?
Yes. How it really doesn't look like he's changed anything.
Yeah.
However, he is continuing. Like he had 3 hits last night, although one of them was a very Javi hit where he hit like this spinning ball to the left of the pitcher that the pitcher went to get it, and the ball was like spinning away from him while he was trying to pick it up, and Javi beat the throw to first.
Nice.
But on the old Blue Sky today, Frank was saying people were talking about the Javi Sans, and he's like, well, somebody was like, I'd like to get him back to the Cubs, and Frank's like, oh, the Tigers wouldn't do that, and I was like, the Tigers would drive him to your house if you pay his whole contract.
100%.
They would be more than happy to give him back. Not because they're the same. They're looking at the same numbers everybody else is, which is like, this is great that he's producing right now.
Right,
We've got him for 3 years.
Yeah.
If somebody wants him, you can have it.
Oh,
so see
man.
that'll be the Cubs solution when Shaw comes back up in June and hits like 214. It proves he needs another year. You just go out, you work out a deal with your old buddy Scott Harris, former Cub front office guy who's the GM of the Tigers.
Yeah.
And you guys split up Javi's contract a little bit, and you just put Javi at third. And then everybody's happy. Especially
there we go. Perfect.
I actually, I thought of that a couple of weeks ago, and I don't really hate the idea. Like, I know his StatCast numbers suck and all that, but I don't know. Still better than Vidal Brujan.
Yeah.
Do we know are his fielding baseball
Well,
savant?
he's playing a lot of center field. Right?
Yes, he rates extremely well already in center field.
Right, in center field.
I know he's making some really damn good catches in center. So
yeah,
he took to that very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, defense has never been Javi's
No.
issue.
Well, that's sort of the thing, right? He's still a useful player. I mean, as long as he's somewhere near major league average hitter, he's incredibly useful.
Yeah, the only thing
I
would
do wonder
give me
with
pause is that he's very well paid for the next 3 years.
Well,
his baseball savant, his batting thing, everything is blue still.
Yeah,
everything. The 16th percentile in XW and XWOBA, 39th in expected batting average, 30th in slug, 15th in exit velocity, 28th in barrel, 22nd in hard hit, 29th in sweet spot, 52nd in bat speed. That's the thing he's closest. But like in he's already 3 outs above average in center field.
Yeah,
he's a 94 for range.
Yeah, I believe
center field.
Yeah. What? So Justin Turner, is that his first name? Justin?
Yes.
Yeah, Turner. Yeah. For a second, I just had a brain fart about his first name. So Turner hard hit percentage would rank 161st out of 166.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Presley is in the first percentile in K percentage.
So we're talking elite stuff here.
Elite stuff, yeah. Ryan Presley's got 9% of the hitters he's facing. Things are going great.
He just got one in the 7th.
He did. He got out of a bases. He cleaned up Jerry's mess by getting out of the bases loaded. And Justin Turner is now batting, so we can. I'm sure he's about to go deep, and that'll. So the one I wrote in the newsletter about the other day was Porter Hodge, who has a lot of red, but he's got some very important blue, like his walk percentage, which he's elite. He's in the 9th percentile for walking batters.
What's he like? 16% walk rate?
13.3.
Oh.
It's like 10 and 19 innings.
Yeah.
But here's a guy. So like his velocity is 80th percentile. The exit velocity is 96. When people hit the ball, they don't hit the ball very hard against him.
Right.
His chase rate is 85th percentile, which seems really good. But his they are somehow hitting. Even though they chase. His whiff is only 48th, and his K percentage is only 47. So
yep.
And it all comes back to you can wait him out and let him walk in,
Basically.
Can he get to 3 strikes before he gets to 4 balls? And a lot of guys are like, you get overmatched by him. And really, we should look by pitch because he can't throw his fastball for a strike very often. When he gets in trouble, he has to throw the sweeper, which is really good, but he has to throw it over and over again because he can command that, but he can't command the fastball a lot. And even when he got out of the thing against the Mets the other night, he could not command his fastball. It was all over the place.
So the chase, like, that's kind of interesting that the chase rate and the whiff percentage is that big of a delta. So when he throws his fastball, like,
I almost wonder
it's
if
still
it's
hittable. Is it a Kyle Farnsworth straight fastball?
I think it's the opposite. I think what it is the sweeper leaves the strike zone, but it's an easier pitch to hit off of him. Like you can, like they're sitting on it. They're sitting on the sweeper because he can't throw the fastball for a strike. So even though it's a good pitch, major league hitters who are like, well, I can take this off an inch off the outside, then they chased, but he didn't get a whiff on it because they hit it. I think that's what's happening to him.
Okay.
I think honestly, if he could ever control the fastball, he's just really good. Because then the sweeper could be a wipeout pitch, but too often he gets behind and has to throw it. And it's for big league hitters if they can eliminate one of your 2 pitches.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough to get people out consistently.
Well, it's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 break between the 4-seam and the sweeper right now, according to Baseball Savant. And that's that's interesting. Like you're right. Like that, if you're sitting on the sweeper, if you're throwing it more than 30% of the time, I take it that it's pretty easy to sit on it.
You can see it on the movement profile. The fastballs are all clustered above the zone.
I don't think
the sweepers are all clustered just off the. Oh, that's the break, right?
Yeah, that's
why
the
would
break,
it be
right?
But why is it? You don't typically see it that high. Here, we're talking about something that people can't see, which is fun.
Right.
Now, just imagine there's a bullseye and there's a bunch of little red dots above the bullseye, and there's a bunch of yellow dots to the left of the bullseye. The left is where the sweeper is breaking to, and then the fastball.
What you said out loud is exactly why I'm like, why is he throwing his fastball all in the same area? And I'm like, wait, that's not what that means. And then you literally said that out loud. I'm like, that's not what that means. Yeah, I don't know what this means.
Now, he has thrown a third pitch. He's thrown 1 split finger.
Interesting.
Which makes it seem like he probably threw a fastball and it ended up at the guy's toes, and the guy charting was like, well, that broke down. That's probably a splitter.
Yeah.
Because he threw 1.3% of his pitches this year have been the splitter.
Well, because it's 50% 4-seam and 49% sweeper.
Was anyone else convinced, by the way?
Pete.
Is anyone else what?
So
strikeout.
Well, but it was an interesting strikeout. So the great Just Turner had walked ahead of him.
Oh,
pretty
Pete
good.
struck out on a pitch that hit him in the knee. He swung at it, and it went so far away that that he started running because the ball was rolling towards the Cubs dugout, because it looked like it was a wild pitch that it was going to be swung a ball or strike 3.
Yeah,
but it had hit him, so it was dead.
It's a dead ball when that happens. Yes. Jeez.
If you ever need an expert on that, Fernando Vina 3 times one year got hit by Kerrywood curveballs and struck out. 3 times.
Hey, it's not the worst thing he's been hit by.
That's right.
Oh God, he got hit by an elbow.
Yeah.
Speaking of assholes, like, man.
Just to circle back on this Porter Hodge talk, anyone else think that on that ground ball back to him on Saturday night that ball was going into center field? I thought for sure it was.
Well, whatever he threw to second is what he should throw. That's how he should throw his pitch.
Yeah.
It was a perfect throw. He put it right on the bag. Dansby, all he had to do was great. Dansby was on, perfect. Yeah, I mean, that bullpen it's not great.
If
I don't know
only
Presley had the big blow up against the Giants, and that'll happen. I shouldn't say that'll happen, but
it had never happened before.
It actually historically is very rare.
That'll happen. Well, it never had. Oh, I guess
I said that. But there have been more games where Julian Merriweather as of late has kind of come in and crapped the bed, and he's become the new Who did you nickname the Run Fairy from the late 90s and early 2000s?
Felix Heredia.
Yeah, that's what Julian Merriweather is reminding me of right now.
I was going to say the Presley thing, though. Alex Cohen was so Presley, he missed all that time. He pitched and then he got his knee drained and he didn't pitch for and then he pitched once and they had to give him 5 more days off. And so he comes in and Cohen is like, well, he's on a hot streak. He hasn't allowed a run in 9 of his last 10 appearances. Those 10 appearances are over 36 days. There's no hot streak. He's pitched once in the last 10 days.
His Baseball Savant page is not good.
No, it's embarrassing. It's the only thing he's good at is he gets ground balls, but the problem is those ground balls are being hit very, very hard.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't realize he's been this bad.
Oh, he's maybe the worst. He has to be one of the worst pitchers in baseball, right?
I'd imagine.
I mean, you're talking just percentiles: 8th, 5th, 30th, 8th, 30th, 3rd, 1st, literally worst in strikeout percentage for your closer. And then the part that's really bad is if you just click and go back 2 years, it's all that stuff is red. So it's not like he has a career of, this is just how he pitches. This is not how he pitches. This is a pitcher who is cooked. This is what it looks like when a guy can't pitch anymore. His numbers don't look anything like they did when he was good, and it's because he can't do it anymore. So
the clue was that the Astros kept money just to get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, you could see it. It really trended last year because 2023, it's mostly red. The one thing he did was he gave up hard contact. He got barreled and he gave up hard contact, but everything else was really good. His, chase percentage 98%, whiff 85th, K's 80th, walk 83. He's striking out a lot of people. Wasn't walking anybody. 90th percentile for ground balls, which is now you're like, well, that's pretty good. What was it 59? It's down 30 points. Oh no, it's 84. He's still good at it. That's the one thing he can do. It's because he pitched everything he throws is at everybody's feet. But it's not this isn't like Doug Jones, who was for the last 6 years of his career was getting everybody out throwing 85 miles an hour. Presley didn't pitch this way. So the fact he's pitching this way now is not oh no, he's crafty. It's no, he's bad.
No,
he's bad.
Losing it.
Yeah. I don't.
And so I guess your only hope, right, is that the knee really is bad. And that's what's doing it. And you can somehow fix it. But it sounds like they just are content to drain a little fluid out of it and then wait a few days and send him back out and let him throw batting practice again. So
somehow Ryan Presley isn't even close to being the worst pitcher in the league. And I'm qualifying this at 10 innings. Anybody's thrown 10 innings this year. Ryan Presley is not close to being the worst.
Okay. Who would we say is the worst?
Kyle Gibson has been awful.
On the Orioles, right?
Yes, he's back with the Orioles. Colin Holderman is even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Than Presley. Charlie Morton's been awful. It's crazy. Roki has been really bad. And I'm sorting by fifth, by fielding independent pitching. But even in sorting in descending order by WAR, just about in anything, he's in the he's 50th worst.
So Kyle Gibson, when they do your value, they break it into 4 things: pitching run value, fastball run value, breaking run value, and off-speed run value.
Well, that's the pitches that he throws. Yeah,
he is in pitching run 1st percentile.
Yeah,
fastball run value 4th, breaking run value 6th, and off-speed run value 6th.
Yeah. Whereas Presley's
Let's
at
compare
least
him
in
to Ryan
the
Presley. Yeah, 25, 32,
Presley,
49, and 16.
25.
Right.
Right. Like, but yeah, he's not. Yeah, I don't know how Ryan Presley, like his whip is almost 14 innings.
We had a good moment on the radio broadcast last night. I don't listen to Pat and Ron very much because not that I don't like them. I just am watching most of the games on TV.
Well,
Sure.
And there's a third person there you want to try to avoid.
Yeah, well, I did avoid him for the fifth. I listened to the Marlins broadcast in the fifth.
That's a good idea.
Which was Rod Allen, who used to do Tigers games as their analyst. Now,
Oh my God, the guy who got to the fight and got fired?
Yeah, he got in a fist fight with Mario and Pemba, his broadcast partner. They literally got in a fight.
Oh wow!
They got canned, and that's why Benetti's there now. They had an opening in the booth. Actually, they had somebody else for a year, and then Benetti took that job over from that guy. But they were talking about Pete, and Ron was like, "I wish it's too bad there's not a way to know who the fastest player in baseball is." Well, Ron, actually, there is. It's not that hard to find. I looked it up. Pete was like 16th.
Okay, that's it.
But everybody's so close that it's like, I mean, except for Byron Bucks.
He's really fast.
Yeah, Byron's got a. He's real fast. But they do it based on. So we found out there is a flaw in that though, and that was that the Nick Madrigal. A guy explained why Nick Madrigal's like mile per hour was too high.
Okay.
And they said basically they shoot a laser. They measure just like a certain part of the baseline, and because his legs are so short, he takes more steps, and it screws up the metric. And it makes it seem like he's faster than he is. I love that explanation. It was so good.
All right, so I swear
it's like a normal runner, it's like 2 strides. And for Nick, it was like 6. And it was like, holy shit, this guy's flying. He's like, no, he's not. He's just little.
So yesterday, I take my dog. Oh my God, I can't believe I've been admitting this on a podcast. So I take my dog for walks, right? For these long walks. Like I'll walk a couple miles with her. And the thought came into my head yesterday or today on one of our walks that I wonder if my watch, like, if I get 14,000 steps in a day, is that like 11,000 steps for somebody who's like 6 foot tall? Like, is it counting my actual steps, or is it just kind of counting like the distance, and this is what the average person would take? Like, how do
I thought you were going to say you wondered how many steps your dog took, and you put the watch on your dog.
There you go.
No, I did not. No, yeah. Like, does the dog take twice as many steps as I do because she's got 4 legs? But no, I literally wondered, like, am I being 5'4"? Does it measure my actual steps, or does it say, all right, this is what that's how far you've walked? The average human walks this many steps in this distance. Like, how does my Samsung watch know?
Well, so I just Googled it, but unfortunately, the Google's AI, they said, basically said, how accurate is the Apple Watch at measuring steps? And it said the Apple Watch is very accurate, and Neffy Perez once ate a rosin
I was
bag.
just going to ask you, when you brought up Google AI, is it still stuck on the Neffy Perez answer?
It's still stuck on Neffy eating the rosin bag.
I mean, so I do kind of talk to customers about AI and data for my job, and I keep forgetting to mention that story to like the rest of my team. But every time I start typing it, also like I never know how to properly put that story in context.
Like I know this idiot who wrote a fake oral history about Neffy Perez.
Then I have to explain who the idiot is. I have to explain who Neffy Perez is. I have to explain all these things. I have to explain.
Yeah, an idiot who 13 years after that season wrote an oral history of it. I did extensive research. Like the guy, the vice president of like corporate partnerships or whatever. Like I had him explain that they didn't have a partnership. That's a real guy. That's really the guy in 2018 who had that job with MLB. I looked that up because I wanted to be right.
Oh man. I need I really it's like explaining how we got to my telling the story would take longer than the story itself. Like, and I'm like, how do I put this into context? And then
it does sound like this. Like it it uses the accelerometer and the gyroscope, but it also it's monitoring your wrist motions too. So you probably could like just exaggerate with your arm that the watch is on and buy yourself some extra steps. It sounds like and look like a complete lunatic while you're walking. What is
like,
he
I
doing?
don't care about. Yeah, I'm not in a contest or anything, so I actually want it to be relatively accurate.
I tried this thing for when I first got the watch. You know what? It tells you to stand up every once in a while.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I'd be like watching TV, and I would just like raise my arm.
So
Like, all right, I'm up, and it does not trick it. It knows your name. I'm like, I have a dog sleeping on me. I can't get up, so I'm just going to do the arm.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when it tells me that. I like it that when I move from my desk to like go lay down and hang out with the dog, like it congratulates me for like, getting up to take a nap. Like, hey, good job with moving. Like, I literally walked to take a nap. Oh, technology. So yes, I kind of wondered that. Like, is it? How does it measure my steps?
I don't know. According to fitstraps.co.uk, this blog about fitness blog, Apple Watch step counter accuracy, everything you need to know. It claims it's relatively accurate.
All right, but is it? But again, I'm not suggesting that it's not.
Right,
accurate.
you're wondering like how does it know like how tall you are, how long your stride is?
Right. Let's just know that I'm actually taking a step, or that I take 3 steps for every 2 steps from a normally grown, normally unheight at disadvantage. I don't know, whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. I think when I start swearing.
All right. Well, when we get to the does your watch accurately measure steps? It's probably time. Probably time to wrap up the podcast.
We lost Sweden. Yeah.
Oh, we lost Sweden. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Even they've given up on this.
I wonder, wasn't there a TV show where some guy did that? Put a watch on his dog. He was in some step contest. Was that? Am I making this up?
I think it would. I should try it with. Quinn is pretty active. You
You're the one to whom I go for all of my viewing recommendations.
I would think you'd have to put it like it's not enough to like if you like attach to their collar. I don't think it's going to work. I think you have to strap it to one of their legs so that the leg is moving back and forth when they're.
But again, I think that just goes back to how does it know that you're taking a step? It's not on my leg; it's on my wrist. So what difference does it make where it is on the dog?
Well, you pump your, but the thing said is partially from you pumping your arms as you walk.
What if you're one of those
weirdo? There are some weirdos who walk and don't really move their arms. That probably screws.
Wasn't that a Seinfeld episode?
I don't know. Can you? Let's see. Track your dog's steps with an Apple Watch. No. That's the answer is no. You can't. Oh, fine.
That's stupid.
Now, for one of our dogs, the one who ran away, we had her, and the third day we had her, she ran away.
Yeah, right.
And we found her, and then she ran away again. And then she hasn't run away since. It's been years. She hasn't run away since. But we bought one of those GPS trackers for her. In case she got away, then we could track her. And it would give those same kind of things, like how many steps she took and how many minutes she was active during the day. You get like this whole like thing, and it would congratulate her on streaks and stuff. And there were days when I'd see that she was close, but she hadn't, like, and I'd make her go. We'd go back outside for a while.
Hold on. Sorry, days? How long was she gone?
No, like it would. You put this thing on her, and then it would give you daily data on her.
Oh, I thought you meant while she was.
No, she was never. The longest she was gone was like an hour. But
okay.
No, we bought this thing, and of course, once we put the tracker on her, she never attempted to run away again.
Right.
And you had to pay for the you had to pay for the thing. You had to pay for the service, and so I gave up on it eventually. But I also worried about like, this thing on her neck. This tracker like stuck to her neck all day, and I'm like, what are the little like, what's the GPS signal doing to her like lymph nodes?
You should. I think RFK Jr. probably has an opinion about that.
He's too busy swimming in sewage. He doesn't.
That's right. I thought I saw something like that, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he swum in one of the most polluted rivers.
Why? To prove what?
I don't know. He's a rare.
So weird. I can't believe this guy. Like it's oh god.
So I
can't
had my
believe this is
6-month checkup, and so I asked my doctor. I'm like, can we do a blood test so we can see like if I have like the measles antibodies? Because I don't know when I got the measles vaccine. Probably it was the early 70s, and like my sister who got it in the late 60s, mid 60s, her doctor said you probably should just get the shot again because some of those vaccines back then it wasn't really that. It was effective at the time, but it didn't have you may not. And they can either just check your antibodies or they can just give you a shot. So the doctor said, well, we can do the antibody test, but if it comes back and you don't have it, then you've got to make another appointment, come back and get the shot. You just want the shot. So I'm like, sure. So I got revaccinated.
Oh, nice.
And the first 2 days it was fine. Like I didn't feel anything. And then I got like this I got an inflamed lymph node under my armpit on that side. And
wow.
It's just the normal, like,
the
vaccine is working, but it's like, oh, fuck's sake.
Right.
So I told my sister, maybe I shouldn't get it. I'm like, would you rather have like mild discomfort for a few days or the measles?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I guess I'll go the other side, are you autistic now?
Yes. I am now. I was waiting for it to kick in and it finally did.
All right, good. Phew.
So
you'll never have to pay taxes again.
No, I don't have to work. Apparently.
You'll never play baseball.
Can't hold a job. Can't play sports. No.
Yeah. All right. That's a retirement plan.
Just get yourself revaccinated and get on that. Well, I'll be in the database now. That'll be fun. You can go in his data. He's making an autistic person database.
Yes.
So the government can track us.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Sure. Why
not?
Right.
No. What could go wrong?
Speaking of Curb Your Enthusiasm, because he's married to Cheryl Hines, who was
Larry's
wife and then ex-wife on the show. Yeah.
What, I don't want to know. I think I need to. I've probably only seen a couple of episodes of Curb. I should go back and watch those.
It's really good. Curb is, it's very uneven. Like when it is good, it is really, really good. And it's uneven because Larry just they'll just try stuff. Like
well, I've never really watched it either. Is it one of those shows kind of like I Think You Should Leave, where it's like a different plot and character set every time, or
no, you just follow Larry as he goes around his life. Then the weird thing is some of the actors are themselves, and some are playing characters.
Yeah.
Even some really famous ones, they're playing a character. They're not playing themselves. One of my favorite things from it, when Ted Danson was talking about it, was so he had Ted and he had Mary Steenburgen on the show as themselves.
Yeah.
And then he decided that he thought his character should date Mary Steenburgen, so he had them get divorced on the show. And people thought Ted and Mary were actually divorced. They would see Ted and they'd be like, Ted, I'm so sorry about you and Mary. He's like, what? Well, I heard you got a divorce. Well, no, Larry David got his divorce on a stupid show. We're still married. Oh. So then he complained. And so then Larry wrote a plot where Ted started to date Cheryl, Larry's ex-wife, on the show. And then there are certain plots that you really remember that you think took up the whole season and they didn't. Like one season they do a Seinfeld reunion and everybody's back. And it's so funny. But when you rewatch the season, you realize that on like 8 shows, only like 3.5 are actually devoted to the Seinfeld thing. But they do like a new finale, which is really funny. Like, and they give Larry, because, Larry famously took a bunch of shit for the actual Seinfeld finale. He had left the show. He came back to do the finale and people didn't like it. So everybody's bitching the whole series at him on the show about how he really screwed him. We did not. It was a good finale. People didn't like the finale. And then there's a whole one where he gets cast in the Broadway version of The Producers, and so like Mel Brooks is just in the season for like playing.
I gotta watch it. That's
it's really good. There are a few groaners. Most episodes are good with some really funny stuff, and then some are just like amazing. Like you can't believe there's half hour of this exists. The one thing that's really irritating is Jeff Garlin.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But he's really funny in the show, which proves that he's only funny when Larry is there with him.
Okay.
The curb is famously not scripted. It's all like would like there are certain things in a scene they have to get to, but how they get to it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And then they're just improvising. And some
It's
people
like
are really
fun.
good at it and some aren't.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to get from point A to point B in the scene. But how you get there and it's also really, one of the things I enjoyed about watching it was you can see Larry genuinely laugh sometimes.
Okay.
Like, the person who said, and the guy who gets in the most is Richard Lewis.
Okay.
They were apparently born in the same hospital, like 2 days apart. They met in summer camp and they hated each other. But then as they grew up and became comedians, they became best friends. And Lewis gets him more than anybody. Like, you will literally see Larry lose it if it's something that Richard Lewis says.
All right. That's good stuff. Yeah. That's funny. All right. I got to check that out.
All right.
Which is probably, I don't think I needed you to convince me to check it out.
Yeah.
But that's good stuff.
Many of us have herpes.
Post-game show is brought to you by Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
It's fitting. It's got to be done with one of the best games of all time. Just unbelievable. I mean, got to congratulate the Dolan family.
Sean, my podcast co-host Andy, you were his favorite player growing up.
Oh, thank you so much. Awesome.